Hello so creative, it's Faustina here. Welcome to another interesting tutorial. On today's tutorial we are going to learn how to cut and sew this beautiful Bubu and the fitted chantilles that I wore inside. You see how beautiful it's looking on me? Yes, and this tutorial is well detailed. Like, I took my time to draft that, most especially the inner, the pattern that I used to sew the inner. You can use it to make any fitted gown of your choice. Like, the tutorial is well detailed. It's not something that you will like to mix. Grab your seat and your popcorn and let's get straight into it. The first thing we are going to draft out is the chantilles, which is the fitted gown that I wore inside. And let's go. These are the material we are using to achieve this beautiful gown. The chantilles is 2 years, while the mikado is 2 years as well. But if you are on a plus size, you can buy 2.5. Like I said from the beginning, we are going to draft out the basic block, which is the fitted basic block for the chantilles. So I'm making use of the drafting method so that you'll be seeing what I want to do very well. Firstly, I went ahead to mark out my starting line into several places. I'm going to go ahead and rule it out. This fitted basic block that we are drafting, you can use it for any fitted gown of your choice. And that is the reason why I say let me draft it out, so that you will know how to get your fitted gowns. And after getting the starting line, I'm going to go ahead and input my shoulder divide by 2 measurement. So my shoulder divide by 2, I'm going to input it on the starting line like so. From that, my shoulder divide by 2, I'm going to input my neck width of 3 inches, which is my basic neck width. From the shoulder, I'm coming down by 1 inch to get my shoulder slope, and I'm going to taper it to my neck width. From that shoulder slope, we are going to now calculate our armhole depth. This is how you get your perfect armhole depth. Your bust divide by 6 plus extra 1.5 inches allowance. So I'm trying to calculate it with my spotting phone, and we can forge ahead. After getting the value from my shoulder slope, not from the starting line, from your shoulder slope, which is the 1 inch you came down from the shoulder slope, not the starting line, I'm going to input the value that I have from my bust divide by 6 plus 1.5 and inches. I take back my tape from the starting line to see what I have there, in order to mark it into several places, and also in order to get a straight line. So that is it. From my shoulder slope I had 7, so from my starting line I had 8. From my starting line, mark out 8 into several places. I'm going to go ahead and rule it in order to get a straight line. The reason why I did that is in order to get a straight line, which will serve as our chest line. And from that our chest line, what I'm going to do is to input my shoulder divide by 2 value in order to get our armhole line, that armhole straight line. So I'm going to go ahead and join it to our shoulder slope like so, and you see the armhole straight line has been formed. From my chest line, I'm going to go up by 3 inches, and I'm going to indicate it like so, and I'm going to go in by half an inch like so, and I'm going to also indicate it. That half an inch, I'm going to use my straight ruler to taper it all over to our shoulder tip like so. After tapering it on that chest line, what I'm going to do is to add my bust divide by 4 measurement, and I'm going to go ahead and complete my armhole curve. And that is it for the armhole curve. So if you use this method, you are going to get your perfect armhole, I kid you not. So after completing the armhole curve, this is what it's going to look like. After getting our perfect armhole curve, we are going to proceed in marking out all our vertical lines, which are the lines that are running from our shoulder to our toe. And I went ahead to mark out my shoulder to my bust point into several places, and I'm going to rule it out in order to get a straight line. So after ruling it out, I went ahead to label it so that you will see what I'm doing. And from my shoulder now, I'm going to impute my shoulder to my front waistline. Remember, your front waistline and your back waistline is not the same. Your front waistline is always longer because of the presence of the bust in the front, and you should also note that always. It's very important. So after getting my front waistline, I went ahead to input my under bust measurement into several places, and I'm going to rule it out. And after ruling it out, I'm going to go ahead and label it. And after getting our under bust, what we are going to now mark out is our hip line. So your hip line is from your waist to the fuller part of your bob is your hip line. So I'm going ahead to mark it into several places. From my waist, you measure from your waist, not from your shoulder. Now you measure from your waist. So after getting your hip line, you're going to input your knee line. So you either measure your knee line from your waist, or you measure it from your shoulder, or you come down 10 inches from your hip to get your knee line. 3 of them work. So after marking out my knee line into several places, I went ahead to reel it out, and I'm going to label it, and that is it. And you also mark out the length of your gown. So because of this practical we are doing, the paper we are using is not complete with the length of our gown. What we are going to do when we want to transfer it to the main fabric, we are going to now increase the length on our working fabric, and that is what we are going to do. And we are going to proceed in marking out all our horizontal lines, which are the lines that are running from your body circumferences, and you are going to divide all of them by 4, which is your bust divide by 4, your waist divide by 4, your hip divide by 4, and that is it. And on that waist, I went ahead to add extra 1 inch, which is our dart intake allowance. And on the hip, I'm going to do my hip divide by 4, and I'm going to join it like so. And that is how you mark out your horizontal lines, which is your body circumferences. And on the knee line, I'm also going to input what I imputed on the hip line, my hip divide by 4, and I mark it like so. So this is basic knee line, and if you want to pencil it, this is what you do. So after getting your basic knee line, you go in by 2 inches and you straighten it up, and that is it. You have automatically penciled your clothes, and what you have on that knee is what you are going to put on the hem part of your gown, and that is it for the penciling of any gown of your choice or skirt of your choice. That is how you go about the penciling. So after penciling it, I went ahead to label it, and that is it for it. So what we are going to do on the waist is to input our nipple to nipple measurement divide by 2 on the bust point, under bust, waistline, and I'm going to reel it out like so. While on the hip line, I'm going up by 2 inches. When I mark out the 2 inches, I'm going to go ahead and input my nipple to nipple measurement. I'm going to go ahead and straighten it all over to that 2 inches that I went up from the hip. And we are going to open up our dart leg by half inches by the side. Remember, what we added was 1 inch allowance. So 1 inch allowance divided by 2 is going to give you half inches by the side, and you're going to use it to form your dart leg like so. You can see how I'm placing my pattern curve. Yes, use your pattern curve and place it like that as well. So after getting it, what we are going to go ahead and mark out now is the difference between our front waistline and our back waistline. That is what you use to form your side bust dart. So the difference between my front waistline and my back waistline is 2. My front is 17 while my back is 15. So I've gone ahead to use it to form our side bust dart. We are going to start working on the turtleneck. From the video, you can see that the chantilles has a turtleneck. So from our basic neck width of 3 inches, instead of us to expand it, we are going to reduce it because it's a turtleneck, and I reduce mine to 2.5, but I advise you reduce yours to 2 inches because it's a net and it expands by itself. So after even marking out these 2.5 inches by 3 inches, I still went ahead to reduce it to 2 inches before I was able to get my perfect turtleneck. So I advise you do yours 2 inches by 2.5. Let the width be 2 inches and the depth be 2.5. I will now proceed in marking out my sewing allowances on the pattern. So I went ahead to add half inches sewing allowances because I don't want the allowances to be much. But you want yours to be more bigger than mine, you can go ahead and add 1 inch or 1.5, but let it not exceed 1.5. When it's 2 inches, it's going to be bulky by the side, and you don't want that to happen. So after adding half inches all around the drafted pattern, what we are going to do now is to close that side bust dart, because we are not going to sew it on our beautiful chantilles. So I'm going to go ahead and close it like so. So when you close it, you are going to use your masking tape to keep it in place. The essence of closing it on the pattern is because I don't want to sew it on our main fabric. Whenever you close your side bust, you're going to see that you have a little bit of shortage by the side. So what you're going to do is just use your ruler and complete it like so. It's not going to add extra allowance on your body circumference. So after closing it, we are done with drafting our front basic perfect fitted gown, and I went ahead to cut it out. So we are going to label its front pattern, and I'm going to keep it in place and start drafting the back. For the back pattern, we are going to firstly mark out our zipper allowances. So I'm going to come in by 2 inches to form our zipper allowance, and I'm going to rule it out like so. And after ruling it out, I'm going to also go ahead and mark out our starting line. After marking out the zipper allowance, we are going to also mark out our starting line into several places, and I'm going to rule it out to get my straight line. And that is it for the back. So we are going to label all the lines we just mark out. So the first line we mark out will serve as our center back, while the other one is our starting line. So we are also going to go ahead and draft out our armhole depth like we did for the front. So it's the same method. So from the starting line, I'm coming down to mark out our chest line, which is the value we mark out for the front. We already have our chest line using the value we have for the front. So after marking out our chest line, I also went ahead to mark out our back waistline into several places. I'm marking it into several places in order to get a straight line. So I've gone ahead to rule it out, and from that our back waistline, I'm going to impute our hip line, and I'm also going to rule it out like so, and I'm going ahead to label them. And I'm going ahead to label them back waistline, chest line, and our hip line. So if you are drafting a fitted gown that does not have any cut around the waist, how to reduce that difference between the front and the back waistline is by reducing the length of your back pattern. That is to say, if your front pattern length is 57, your back pattern length should be 55. Thereby, you have automatically eliminate the difference between the front waistline and the back waistline. My front waistline is 17, while my back waistline is 15, and that is 2 inches difference. And that is what I just mark out from the length of my pattern. You will see I had a 2 inches difference, and I'm not making use of that 2 inches. That 2 inches will be removed from the length of my back pattern, and that is what I'm putting asterisk on. So after removing that 2 inches, it's not going to harm your pattern. Is going to rhyme. After you must have sewn it, is going to rhyme by the side. That is the work of the side bust we added by the side of our front pattern, and that is it. So we are going to go ahead and continue to form our armhole. And for the back, we are going to get the midpoint. We are not going to come up by 3 inches. We are going to find the midpoint, go out by half an inch, stepping it to our shoulder slope, mark out our bust, divide by 4, and complete our armhole curve for the back. And for the waist as well, we are going to impute our waist, divide by 4 also, and also our dart intake, and we are going to rule it all over to our chest line. And also on the hip line, we are also going to divide our hip by 4 and also go ahead and mark it. And we are going to move over to our knee, and this is how you penciled your back pattern. Watch me very closely and see how I pencil my back pattern. So after marking out what I have on the hip to the knee and to the gown length, from that line I'm going to come in by 1 inch, and also from the center back I'm going to come in by 1 inch. So we are going to pencil both on the two sides, both from the center back and the side back. Remember, for the front you only penciled by the side front, but now you pencil both on the two side. That will give you a perfect pencil gown when you do it like this for the back. So after penciling it for the back like so, we are going to mark asterisk. The part we mark asterisk, we are not going to make use of it. So what we are going to do now is to mark out our back contouring for zipper bulge. What I did is to come in by 1 inch on that waistline, and I rule it out on my neck tip and also on the hip line. You can see what I did there. That is what we call back contouring, and I'm going to replace that 1 inches by the side. After coming in by 1 inch, I'm going to replace it by the side. The excess of coming in by 1 inch by the center back is because our center back is not straight. Our center back is curvy, so we have to give it that curvy point in order to make our zip to relax very well when we sew in our zip. So after marking it out, like I said, you also replace it by the side. When you remove it, you replace it by the side so that you don't get shortage of measurement. So we are going to mark out our nipple to nipple measurement like we did to the front in order to get our dart leg. So when you get your dart leg, for the chest line I came down by 2 inches. On the hip line I also came up by 2 inches, and I'm going to open up my dart by half inch on both sides, and I'm going to rule it out like so. So you can use your ruler to place it like so. It must not be a pattern curve, so should in case you don't have pattern curve. So after getting the dart, we are going to proceed in marking out our neck width and our neck depth. Our neck width is also 2.5. I mark out 2.5, and the neck depth for the back is just 1 inch. It should not exceed 1 inch. If you can even do it half inch, do it half inch for the turtleneck. So we now proceed in marking out half inches all around our drafted pattern like we did to the front. And after marking it on the armhole and on the side of the bust, what we are going to do now is to mark out 1 inch for our zipper allowance. So from the curvy line, like our new center back, which is curvy, you are going to follow that curvy line and add 1 inch all around your pattern for your zipper allowance. And I'm going to go ahead and rule it out like so. So the back is basically ready. We are also going to add half inch on the shoulder and on our neck, and that is it for the back pattern. So I will go ahead and now cut out our pattern. I went ahead to lining up the side of our two pattern, both the front and the back, despite the fact that I removed 2 inches from the length of my back. You can see that they were rhyming. So I went ahead to contour the back the more. I went up by half inch on the waist and came down by half inch by the hip line, and I taper it all the way to the side. You can see the darts that I drew there. So I'm going ahead to mark out that new dart that I drew. I went ahead to contour the waist in order to still remove zipper bulge, excess zipper bulge. You can go ahead to give it more curviness. You see, the more curvy your back is, the more eliminated zipper bulge is going to eliminate. So make sure that you curve your center back very well, and you will see your zip relaxing so perfectly well. So I'm going ahead to transfer all this pattern to fabric. Like I said earlier, we are completing the length of our beautiful gown on fabric because the length of the paper was not enough. So what I did is to measure what I have on that knee, and I also place it on the hem part of my beautiful gown. I'm going to trace it with my ruler and my chalk like so. Using my ruler and my chalk, I trace the side to meet the hem part, and after tracing it, I'm going ahead to go and cut it out. And that is it for the pattern. Remember, we have already added our sewing allowance, so you don't need to add any other allowance. Just cut exactly what you have on your. After cutting it, we are going to do the same thing to the back as well, and this is how you trace out the back as well. Following what you have already on your pattern, you trace it and you cut through the bodies, and that is it. So we have come to the sewing part. The sewing part is so easy. So because I want the zip to enter my turtleneck, I went ahead to minus 2 inches from the zip. You can see what I did there. So I'm placing my zip to see where my zip is going to stop. I'm going to go ahead and chalk it. After chalking it, I'm also going to rule out where I want my slit to stop. You see, from the hem part, I measure where I want my slit to stop. I'm also going to chalk it. So after chalking the two side, what you are going to do now is to start marking out 1 inch that we added for the zipper allowance. And after marking out the 1 inch, I'm going to move over to my sewing machine and go and run a stitch on it and come and show you. I've gone ahead to run a stitch on it. You can see very clearly. After running a stitch on it, what we are going to do now is what we called dart transfer. We are going to transfer the dart we had on the pattern to our working fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and cut through the dart, and watch me closely and see how I cut through the dart line. I'm going to cut it on the both sides. This is how you transfer your pattern dart to your fabric. You can use this method anywhere and any day, any fabric of your choice, and you're going to place it directly on the pattern, and you're going to go ahead and trace it. So this is why I advise you put all your sewing allowance on your pattern and your zip allowance on your pattern, so that when you want to transfer your darts to your pattern, it will be so easy for you. And I'm going to use my chalk to trace out the darts, and after tracing out the dart, I'm going to move over to my sewing machine and go and hold the dart together. And I'm also going to repeat this same method to the front pattern. You can see it. I'm going to turn it to the other side. Make sure that where you are tracing it is at the wrong side of your fabric. Don't trace it at the right side, because you are not going to sew your dart to your right side. You are going to sew your dart to the wrong side. So trace it to the wrong side, so that after tracing it, what you are going to do is just go over to your sewing machine and go and sew your dart according to how you trace it out. So after tracing it, I'm moving over to my sewing machine to go and sew it. So I've gone ahead to sew it, and this is how it's looking. You can see it's looking so pretty and it's less stressful. After sewing it, this is what you are going to have. So like I said earlier, I've also done the same thing to the front, and what you are going to do now is to start closing our pattern. So we are going to start from the shoulder. I'm going to place the two right side together, and I'm going to sew the shoulder by 1/2 inch. After sewing the shoulder, I'm also going to sew the side by 1/2 inch. Remember, we added 1/2 inch sewing allowance, so I'm going to sew both the shoulder and the two side. So I've gone ahead to sew them, and this is what is looking. It's looking so pretty and fine. Our beautiful fitted gown is coming together. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to hem the slit line and also hem the down part of our beautiful gown. So this is how I hem the slit. I hem it twice because it's net. I went ahead to hem it twice, and that is it for the slit. And also for the hemming part, I'm going to hem it once, just a pinch of it, because the chantilets I bought, the length is not good. The length is not up to 60. The length was 57, and it affected the length of my gown. So I'm just going to hem it a bit, like 1/4 inch, and that is it for the hemming, both the slit and the hem part. I can see how neat the slit is looking. Yeah, I've gone ahead to hem it, both the slit part and the hemming part. So we are going to move over to the sleeve. So we are going to now go ahead and cut this. Is how you get the length of those sleeve that runs from your wrist to your fingernail. You can see from my wrist I'm measuring where I want the sleeve to stop, and I'm going to measure the circumferences as well all around my fingernail. And after getting all these two value, what I'm going to now do is from my shoulder, I'm going to measure from my shoulder to my wrist, and I'm going to add that value that I got from my wrist to where I want that sleeve to stop, to the value, and that is it. And I'm going to go ahead and mark out my sleeve. So watch me closely and see how I mark my sleeve. But if you want a very well detailed sleeve tutorial, just comment down the comment section, and I'm going to do a separate video for this sleeve, how I got it. And that is it. So after marking out my sleeve circumferences, I went ahead to also add 1/2 inch sewing allowance, and which I proceeded to cut it out. So after cutting it, I'm going to go ahead and hem it and now sew it to our beautiful fitted gown. The part you are hemming is the part that will be on your fingernail. So let me quickly go and sew it and also put it on our beautiful gown. So I've gone ahead to sew it, and this is the outcome. You can see how beautiful it's looking. Yeah, what we are going to now do is to work on our turtleneck. So what you are going to do is measure around your turtleneck, and after measuring it, make sure that the round of your turtleneck do not exceed 17. If it's more than 17, you reduce it by sewing the shoulder more. So it must be 17, so that when you sew in your zipper allowance of 1 inch on both sides, you will be left with 15. 15 is okay for your round neck. So this is how I cut out my round turtleneck. So I place my fabric into 2, and I mark out 2 inches, and I go ahead to cut it out. So after cutting it out, we are also going to cut out our neck. So this is what I do to get my perfect turtleneck. After cutting it out, I'm going to place it like so to get the midpoint. And after getting the midpoint, I'm going to reduce that midpoint by 1/2 inch. That is, my midpoint is 1.5, while the rest of the bodies is 2. So I'm going to trace it all over like so, and I'm going to go ahead and cut it. You see how I traced it? So this is how you trace. After you must have arranged it, go ahead and cut it. After cutting it, I went ahead to bring the chantilers, and I'm placing what I had on the chantilers, and I'm also going to go ahead and now cut the chantilers, because I'm going to put the chantilers on our mikado. So after cutting out our chantilers, we are going to go ahead and now sew it on our beautiful gown. You sew it and leave the rough edges and go and weaving the rough edges, or you tuck in the rough edges inside. So how you tuck in the rough edges inside is you sew one part. After sewing one part by 1/2 inch, you now hem or fold the other part and now top stitch on top of it. So right now I'm trying to find the middle of our turtleneck, and I'm going to first of all place the middle on that middle of our beautiful neck, and I'm going to sew through from the one middle of the neck to the zipper area, from the other middle of the neck to the zipper area, after which I top stitch it and put my zip. That is it. So I've gone ahead to sew both the zipper and also the turtleneck. You see how beautiful it's looking here. And that is it for this tutorial. In our next tutorial, we are going to learn how to sew this Bubu gown. Yeah, this is the Bubu gown. We are going to learn how to sew it. So if you have watched to this point, thanks for watching, and watch out for the next tutorial where we sew the Bubu gown. Bye bye. I love you.